So a friend and I had a discussion regarding a video that has become quite popular at this very moment. And the video is highlighting the double standard of the genders. And it is highlighted by one male and one female actor that are having arguments on hidden cameras filming a heated discussion in public. In the first minute of the clip is 2 minutes long, so the first minute is dedicated to the guy being the aggressor. He is acting convincingly upset, flailing his arms around, and he's touching the lady. In all fairness, he's touching her, he's holding on to her arms, but it's a very distant approach to it. He's not over the top. But it takes no time at all for the public to jump in. He's even being threatened by a lady that says she will be involving the police. This is happening as he's receiving a proper dressing down by this very lady herself. So he's being properly scolded right then and there on the spot for being upset at what is assumed by the public is his girlfriend or fiancé or wife, somehow partner. They are somehow related. Time to go to the second minute. Now the lady in this, the female actor, it's her turn to be upset with the man. And she has to really emphasize how mad she is at this guy. She is screaming really loudly. She's calling him names, sort of to the same level he did to her in the beginning. So far, so equal, if you like. But she has to resort to violence. She has to start pushing the man around, punching and shoving him into fences, into objects, physically assaulting, intimidating and abusing him. But what does the public do? They just sit there. They laugh. They openly laugh and smile at the situation. Sounds normal to you, don't it? You don't hit a woman. And the sad fact is, despite all her berating of this man, if he had done the one reasonable thing to either push her off, and I do mean that as push her off so that she's away, not harmfully shoving her down to the ground, pushing her off so that he can get away, so he can start running. Even if he had responded even with that, police would have been called and he would be the one in trouble. You know that is what would happen, despite the woman being the aggressor. Now, this clip sparked a conversation between me and my friend on Facebook, and we got in quite quickly into what real equality is. And I'm saying this is a prime example of how it is not equal between the sexes, and that we find it okay, that it is acceptable for a woman to physically assault and abuse a man, whilst just reverse the roles, just reverse the genders. It is not okay at all, any time, for a man to be violent or forcefully respond to a woman. It's not allowed. But we got into the equality issues and we started discussing what real equality is. And for me, I don't know what you think, but for me, real equality is equal opportunity. You have the same chances, and from there on you can get to make your own choice. Now this means being allowed to go to school, but that's where it ends. You can have a little bit of decision of where you go to school, but all schooling should, and in many cases, are equal. You can go to the same unis regardless of most school you go to. Some schools will get you in trouble, especially if you go into the religious kinds of schools where they have trouble defining biology and lots of the biology concept. You are quite screwed if you have gone to one of those creationist theory schools and then try to become a biologist. Your education will simply not cut it. But I'm talking about the normal public schooling we have here in UK. You can go to most universities if you can afford the fees for the universities, of course. That is equality. The decisions you then make later on in life, if you decide to start applying for jobs at Asda or Waitrose and you're perfectly happy to sit at the cash register. then you should not expect to become something greater. You will not become CEO of Coca-Cola, of Google, of any of the banking things. Well, you might actually if you're in Co-op and their banks, but that apparently isn't that good. Your choices comes with consequences. And every choice you make in your life are closing opportunities for you. If you decide to be lazy during your 20s, you will not have a career in your early 30s. If you decided to go backpacking for most of your time during your 20s, you are not going to have a high career as the boys and girls that went straight from school, straight to university, and then out into work life, and they were working the full weeks, the 40 plus hours. You will not be at the same career level as them. You will not have the same amount of necessary experience. So for you to be considered as an equal candidate, an equally valued candidate to a management position, a boss position, boardroom staff member or something, you are not equally valued. You don't have the same benefits, the same experience as those people that have put all of that time in. And I know this is a position that offends especially feminists with all their gender quotas and saying, oh, why aren't there more women in the boardrooms? Well, that's a twofold issue, because one, there is a lot more qualified men. There's a bigger pool of qualified men that have put in 80 plus hours a week, having to give up their own family life, never seeing their kids, that have worked, studied, and really busted their balls their entire life to get that opportunity to become a board member, to sit and make decisions. Real equality is not comparing one of these real hardworking, and we changed the ball-busting man to it's a woman that has given up everything that she may have decided on the side, like with family life. She hasn't even had time to travel the world. She wanted to see the Chinese wall. She wanted to experience Australia, but because of her work, she never had the time. She had the money, she never had the time. Now, compare this hardworking woman, all the time she spent on career, on studies, on everything to reach this level. Now let's put a man on the other side. This man has worked 20 hours a week because he's part-time single parent. The wife disappeared or died or whatever, something tragic made him the sole caretaker of his own child. Something happened. Put your own story in there. But for some reason we have a scenario where there's one man, he's only able to work 20 hours a week because the rest of the time he's busy doing something else, something that is also important to him. Now, it wasn't his decision to become a single parent, the same as it isn't for most women to become single parents. So this is why I'm giving you the example of the single man versus a single woman. It's rarely an active choice, but it is an active choice to become a parent. That is a choice you really do make. And it comes with its complete set of consequences. You have to take care of your child unless you're going to give it away. Now, you can take care of your child on your own, which most people tend to like to do. I say it again. Most people that have kids want to spend time with them. It doesn't matter if you're man or woman, most people want to take care and spend time with their children. This guy, as we put him, has only worked 20 hours a week. He hasn't had time to do anything else. He is, despite his education, despite his attempt at trying to work, not equally experienced and valued as a candidate as this woman that can't even travel the world that she would love to do because of all the time she spent preparing, working for, to try and achieve this. But this is what feminism wants in this case. They want the 20-hour worker, part-time worker, to be considered equally valued and actually have a higher right to sit in a boardroom than the 80-hour plus working person. Let that sink in. That is exactly what gender quotas is. It means the seat at the end of the race, regardless of your actions during the race is reserved for someone that is not doing as much as you have done. And this inequality hits both men and women. It's mostly affecting men in a negative way because it gives them only one track when you have a quota that needs to be reached at the end of the finishing line. Because for women it means that they can run in the special handicapped lane, which is designed only for them. It's only they that can run there. But they may also run in the mainstream should they not be awarded with the position at the end of the special case or special handicap lane, special handicap parking. They can take part in both races, meaning that there are even less opportunities available for the real candidates. And I'm still talking about both men and women. The main course, where the women, they participate and they fight and they put the hours in, they stay in the main lane because they know it is not a fair system to have a quota, to have a cheesy, easy lifestyle lane. Because we all seen what happens when an inexperienced individual comes up with this stupid idea and has been given a lot of power that they don't know and have no experience of how to handle. The most recent case at this moment is Sheryl Sandberg. She's a very successful woman. She's managed to make millions of dollars, and she's by no means a failure, but she brought forward a really idiotic idea that women can't be told that they're being a bit bossy. So therefore, it's time to ban the word bossy. The stupidity that comes from a person that is not prepared and have the experience to be in a position like this is what happens. This is the stupidity and idiotic behavior that you see when you have been conditioned to think that you are not as worthy and therefore you need all the extra help there is. But this was a discussion about equality. Now, I'm getting a bit off track here. We now have these two candidates, the 80-hour working person versus the 20-hour. We are in the middle of this discussion here, me and my friend, and at this stage a feminist has got wind of our Facebook conversation and she jumps in. Now, I don't mind this. In fact, I like to hear perspectives. I like to hear ideas. I only have one simple rule. Bring facts. Come prepared. Don't just drop propaganda. This lady joins in and it takes her only 3 messages in on the Facebook conversation before caps lock has been turned on. Only 3 messages. Now all of you guys listening to this, and even girls, I'm saying guys because I think of everyone as guys. Doesn't matter your gender, you're part of the team, you're part of everyone. You're one of the guys. What dangles between your legs, none of my concern. So, all of you listening now, both men and women, you have your critical thinking hat on, if you like that very bad metaphor. But you're thinking, you're only hearing my side of the story at this point. You don't get to hear her side of the story, not even my friend's side of the story. So obviously you think, what did I do to this woman to make her so upset that she starts attacking me as a person rather than my arguments? Well, her first message, as soon as she got wind of this, and I must preface it, her first line reads, well, I haven't read all of the things you've been talking about here. That's her first sentence when she butts into this conversation. She then goes on to drop a lot of feminist propaganda and putting claims like the 98% of all violent crimes are done by men. Now, quick click on her link on the Facebook page shows that she's from Sweden. In this case, in Sweden, violent crimes are in 10% of the cases perpetrated by women. Let that sink in. She's already exaggerating the first claim she's making. Now the numbers may go up and down, but accordingly to the latest figures from Sweden, violent crimes has stayed on the same number despite the increasing population. I would be okay that it's just a number, but this number is something that they peddle at the universities in Sweden during the gender studies, the feminist, the sociology, all these courses that tells you that women are so weak and are so exposed. This is the exact number they always drop, and they never fact check it. They never check that is accurate. 98% of all crimes being committed by men. Yeah, that's 98% crimes too many. The 2% is also too many. She continues, and now she is actually using real numbers and real dates, so she starts dropping a little bit of the historical facts. Like 1921, the votes for women was introduced and all that. But that's not her intention with it. She's putting it in there to imply, or to not in so many words say that because I am a white man, that I somehow am directly responsible for these facts, these historical facts, that women couldn't vote when my great-great-great-grandfather was alive. But I'm directly responsible because I am a white man, that they could not vote. I would be interested to meet anyone from that age, but I'm pretty certain none of them are still around, and if they were probably too young to even remember anything, let alone being allowed to legally vote. If you do know someone that was able to vote in 1921, please put them in contact with me. But after all of this, and doing the usual implication that white men are the scum of the earth, which is the usual feminist dogma, and this isn't coming from Tumblr, this is from a person on Facebook, is currently going to university and apparently working in social psychiatry. So it's not just one of these social sciences, it's a real science, the psychiatry, where they study stuff like the brain and whatever they do and behaviors and all that. So more proper study than just reading a few feminist literature and then saying, oh, I know everything about this. She proceeds with dropping the biggest pile of excrement I've seen to date. It's yet another of these feminist propaganda bullshit. Her comment is, well, yeah, it is more dangerous to be a woman at home than it is to be a male soldier in a war zone. By this time, my bullshit detector has run out of batteries. It's on empty. It has nothing more to give. In less than 3 messages, managed to go from entering a conversation, dropping piles of excrement of propaganda, and then turning on caps lock. I tried to tell her at this point that her claims are false. They're not properly compared with real statistics. They're not properly used. She's also by this point already dropped the latest survey of salary gaps between men and women in Sweden. Now I point out this to her, or I try to point out to her that the only factor that they've compared this is they've taken women in one pile and managed to measure their age from 20 to 29, and then they've taken men 20 to 29. Now, for those of you that are on YouTube, you've heard of PewDiePie. This is the most popular guy. He has like billion. I think it's actually billions of subscribers to his YouTube channel. I don't know how many he has because that is not my kind of content. I don't have the time to watch that kind of stuff. He's making more, if you believe the report from socialblade.com that estimates the value of a channel, he's making more than £100,000 per month in ad revenue alone from YouTube. In Sweden, that's more than 1 million Swedish kronas. He's making that much money from doing YouTube shit. He's very driven, he's very entrepreneurial and everything. Let's put another man that he might actually be outside of this age group, but he was still young when he started doing his stuff. He's called Notch, Marcus Persson. He's the inventor and creator of the worldwide popular game Minecraft. He's become filthy rich from that. Now these two guys are bundled together in this report because age 20 to 29, and in age 20 to 29 on both men and women's side, but in the women's side you do have the part-time working cashier at the local supermarket. Part-time working cashier in Sweden could probably hope to put in, maybe get a salary of about £10,000 for an entire year. Now compare that to PewDiePie that pulls in £100,000 every single month from doing YouTube stuff. Why am I bringing up these two examples, you ask? The YouTube stuff, creating your own channel, is something everyone can do. Becoming successful is a very hard work, and he's put a lot of time in. I think his channel has been around since 2007, and it's not until now he's actually starting to really see the benefit of all his hard work. Any woman with access to a computer could have built, created, and come up with the game Minecraft. It's not that complicated of a game, but for some reason they haven't. And I'm not blaming or trying to say it's something faulty with them, there's something wrong with them. All I'm saying is, in this very scenario, we have two age groups, or one age groups, two genders being compared. In one age group, you have people with tendencies to try and make something big, and being very successful at it. Has nothing to do with the genders as such that they are allowed. They've worked hard to reach these levels. The work has been put in. And they are being compared in the same bundle with the people that have trouble to keep a job, that have something going on so they can only work part-time at the local supermarket. Whatever the circumstances is, they are not in the same category nor race as these people that are extremely creative, extremely talented, extremely successful. You can't compare the two of them and then point out and say, look, this is sexism, this is patriarchy. She's completely unreceptive to me telling her that, look, your claims are false, you're comparing apples and oranges. It's too late. She's already hit caps lock and proceeds to dump more excrement on me. Oh, and this is being aimed now directly to me. And this time it's more about how women should be allowed to be excused, and always be excused from taking responsibilities for their own actions. This only reinforces the original video that started this conversation with my friend. She goes on trying to say that a woman should be able to dress how she likes, be able to drink herself so drunk she's almost unconscious, then take the decisions to leave her friends, to walk down a dark alleyway that is poorly lit, out of sight from anyone, and then be completely excused for her actions of putting herself in such a vulnerable position. Compare that with me as a man. I don't have the goods of a woman. A woman is being targeted because sex is her commodity. It's a very valuable thing, and it's never excusable to rape at all. The fact of the matter is, it's goods. She's been displaying it all night. She's been flirting. She's been having fun. She's been dancing. Regrettably, some people don't understand that. This lady might be on her way home to go to her husband or her wife. Whatever the situation is, she has a partner waiting at home that she does not want to be unfaithful to, but she wants to be out. She wants to be allowed to have fun. It's all her rights to do so. It is, however, not okay to say you are not responsible for your actions. And as I said, compare this to me as a man. I'm not skimpily clad, but I'm waving around wads of cash. I'm flailing around the 50 quid bills in my hands. I'm buying everybody at the bar several rounds. I'm tossing money all over the place. I have an expensive gold watch. I have a really, really crisp, sharp-looking Armani suit on. I reek money. I then proceed to go out from the bar, say goodbye to my friends, stumble down the road, drunk as hell, and I see a dark alleyway and go, do you know what? That looks like a very brilliant idea. I'm gonna walk straight through there because no one can attack me, and if they do, it's never my fault. The actual crime that you're being a victim of is not your fault. It's never your fault. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. But it is your fault that you did put yourself in such a dangerous situation. And in these cases, I've been nice about it. What happens if there's a serial killer out there stalking people, waiting for them to walk down that alleyway? Then you lose more than your dignity, than your pride, than respect for your own body that would happen in a case where a woman gets raped. You would end up dead. And it would be your fault for getting in that situation. So what I'm saying is, it's never excusable to rape or be raped. There is no excuse for that. When you're out, don't leave your friends. Don't go alone. It's not a sexist statement. It's not telling women that they can't do whatever they would like to do, because it applies to men as well. Men can't. Everyone can do something, but you should not put yourself in dangerous situations, because you might get killed. And even just being violated, it really, really fucks up the rest of your family. All the people you have responsibility to. If you're a mother, you have the responsibility to keep yourself safe so that your kids do not have to grow up without a mother. The same goes if you're a father. You have a responsibility to not get shot, get killed, get stabbed, even injured, because it will affect your kids. And that is something in the feminist mind that is so hard to understand, that you are responsible for your bad decisions. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. But for some reason, we're being told If a man is doing a bad decision, well, serves him right. If a woman takes a bad decision, no, it wasn't even her fault. She didn't do anything wrong. And you can actually read that on several statements from feminist website. She did not do anything wrong. It's just as disgustingly creepy as the Bill Clinton speech saying I did not have sexual relations with that woman. It's exactly the same level of icky creepiness. And I already put it in here. Violence and rape in any form to anyone is never okay. It may be necessary to exercise violence at times. It still doesn't make it okay. So listen to that. Violence might be necessary at times. It's still not okay. Now, this being responsible, it is something we all have to carry with us. As despicable as many crimes are, that's why they're crimes, we have laws against them. So when you are being responsible, not only before but after, you have to be responsible to report the crime. It may not lead somewhere, but if you don't report the thing, well, all the cops are bastards anyway, so what's the point? I can't do anything. Well, the crime statistics I'm being fed from all these feminist institutes says that 1% of all rapists are getting their comeuppance, while 99% walk scot-free. All these statistics are just put there to put you down, so that you don't go and report them. The numbers of actually reported crimes, we know for a fact that they are lower than the real amount. But we're going to get into numbers soon, because I'm really going to dig into this claim that it's more dangerous to be a woman at home than it is to be a man in a war zone. Actually, the way she said it is a male soldier in a war zone. So let's dig into these numbers then. 2009 was the bloodiest year for UK troops in Afghanistan to that date. Actually, the year after showed that there were a slight increase in casualties. But in 2009, and I use this date because it's the most common date with statistics and everything I can compare with, the real numbers. So in 2009, UK troops suffered 1,229 casualties. And this is taken from a pool of less than 20,000 soldiers. Let me emphasize that. The actual numbers of troops we had in Afghanistan in 2009, the real number down to the perfect digit, that is never revealed to the public. We get the rounded off numbers. In 2009 there was a report in the Telegraph and Times that MOD had increased the troop activity to be above 10,000. That's a fact number that we have to go on, because MOD released that. I'm doubling the number just to make sure that it wasn't 15,700 or something. So I'm saying it is 20,000 soldiers that were in Afghanistan in 2009. That's a war zone. Unfortunately, the people in Sweden do not know this, but I will come to that point very soon. Now, I've rounded off the actual number there. This is just so that the feminists are also getting a fair chance when we take a look at their claim. The claim that it's more dangerous to be a woman at home than it is to be a male soldier in a war zone. It's time for the feminist number. In 2009, and I'm pulling the numbers from UK here, domestic violence reported was 85,904. 6% of these victims were men. So it's a significant chunk off the top there. It's 80,000. But looking through statistics and trying to get to the bottom of it, cps.co.uk, or was it .gov.uk? Just do CPS and domestic violence in your Google search bar and you will find the same report as I did. CPS domestic violence 2009. That's the exact phrase I used to search for this. This report, when you read through it, claims that there is almost 1 million female victims of violence every year in the UK. That's quite a big difference from the actually reported number. We all know, thanks to feminism, that women don't dare go forth to report crimes. Because, well, there's 1 million of us, but there's only 80,000 cases. Of course there are only 80,000 cases when there are only 80,000 reported cases. I'm going to be fair to the feminists here. I'm going to give them the 1 million women per year. I'm going to give them 1 million women being put in very dangerous situations. Situations that can be compared to being a soldier in a war zone. Now, in all fairness, I'm also going to give them the total murder cases that year. 2009, total confirmed murder cases in UK was 608. These are confirmed, where they came to the conclusion this victim was bereft of their life. There was a few more cases. I think there's some 40 cases that they had to dismiss because it was inconclusive evidence that it was actually murder going on. This could be something like being poisoned, but it looked like a heart attack. Those kind of cases where they were unable to verify that. I'm going to give them these 608. I'm not going to bother about the 6% of the cases actually being men being victims. So feminism have 1 million victims here now. There's 1 million victims suffering violence. So let's move on then. We have the military. The reason I'm taking the men out from the victim pool of the women's, or the feminists here, is because soldiers, I'm giving the total number of soldiers are both men and women. So I'm letting them have the same number there. Men and women, both cases. I'm only going to compare it with women because that's how the claim is. The claim is women have it worse. So therefore, the UK population of women, so the amount of women in UK is 32,150,000. Every year, 1 million of them are victims of violence. Now let's compare it to the other side. Soldiers, 2009, 1,229, not including post-traumatic stress disorders and other psychological issues that you can suffer that are all as bad. The amount of deployed soldiers, 20,000, and this is an exaggerated number. We've already covered that. So let's take the numbers and look at the percentage. 1 million over 32,150,000 gives you the percentage of 3.11. So 3.11% chance for you as a woman, including the statistics of the men in that statistics, is 3.11% chance for you be a victim of domestic violence or violence against women as it's being claimed. On the other side, 1,229 casualties over 20,000 total soldiers. That gives you 6.14%. That's almost double the danger. Just let me clarify now that the 3.1% is not acceptable. It should be 0.00 and infinite zeros percentage. Shouldn't be anyone. But we don't have a perfect world, regrettably. Now I hear you ask, you've just got the numbers. So how do you ask, how can feminists make this claim? Well, let's look at where this claim comes from. Good old Sweden. Now this starts to make sense, but I'm probably aware that many of you guys listening don't understand why. So I'm going to give you a little bit of fact here. Sweden has not participated in any war for the past 250 years and then some. I think it's 255 years since Sweden last participated in any war. This means Sweden has 0 active war zone casualties. Don't get me wrong, Sweden has troops all over the world doing UN peacekeeping missions and all that, and yes, they do get shot, they get hurt, they become casualties as well. Sweden has still no active war zone, therefore we have no soldiers, no army that are on the front lines and becoming casualties. So let's have a check at the Swedish reported crime statistics. Well, apparently it's 87,500 in 2010, sampling from the 2009 pool. Now, as I already told you earlier in this case, 10% of these violent crimes have been committed by women. They've been rounding the number off, and apparently this number, for some reason, they rounded down. You can find these on the public Swedish websites, the government websites where they release all these statistics. And this one comes from scb.se, I believe it is, which is the Swedish Statistical Bureau of Crimes or something. You should have no issues finding this on Google. But I get back to the case in point. 87,500 victims during a single year versus 0 casualties because you don't have a military in an active war zone. So you're comparing apples with oranges. And of course, they are right. There are more women being beaten every year in Sweden than there are Swedish soldiers, both men and women, being casualties in a war zone. because they are not there. And those that are down in Afghanistan and everything, they're not frontline, they're there as support staff, so when they become casualties, it's not being reported as a war zone casualties, because they're not active soldiers. When it comes to violence, it's not okay, no matter who the victim is. But these fake claims, like these feminists like to peddle, are even worse, and they actually spit in the faces of the real victims. This kind of feminist misrepresenting data is not coming from Tumblr or other social media where all these special snowflake social justice warriors hang out. They come straight from university courses on gender studies, especially in Sweden, because it's gone absolutely insane on this. I know, because I took 2 of their courses and my bullshit detector had ran out of battery in less than 60 seconds. That was just the teacher introducing herself and her accomplishments. And I'm using the word accomplishments very, very lightly, because you couldn't find any peer-reviewed criticism of her work or anything despite her teaching at the university level. I'm not dismissing feminism completely, I should let that you guys know that, but I am dismissing the bullshit that it is peddling. The idea with feminism, that started feminism, they had a lot of extremely and crucially valid points, and even concerns. However, if feminism had been meant to be taken serious, and meant seriously, then we would not have, or have a need of feminism today. We really would not. If feminism had been serious about the problems, the concerns and the issues they have, this would have been instantly solved. Problem solving, fixing it. Not going around like feminism have been doing for decades now, pointing fingers and passing blame. There is no effort in fixing the problems, there is only effort on making sure that they keep pointing fingers. It's even worse today, as feminism is now it's not even very, it's an extremely profitable market. And it's preying extremely viciously on women that they have already filled through schoolings, through academia. They fill their heads with false informations, false comparisons, false equivalents, and then say, look how bad it is, now go pay money to these professional talkers, convention stuffs. People like Anita Sarkeesian, she may be a feminist, but she's peddling a shitload of bullshit. You can see that by the connection she had to, say, Sui Park, the most racist person I've ever seen, and how they were being banding together in professional victimhood, all in the effort to keep the anger up and get more attention to their bullshit causes and their bullshit scams. But even so, look in, dig into the data behind it. Don't accept even what I am saying. Don't accept it on face value. That's what I'm saying to you. I got the data from here. Go have a look for yourself. I will never say something and then say, oh, well, you go find it yourself. I will actually say that here's the data. That allows you to go and look at the data. And then you can look, is this data flawed somehow? Is there something wrong here? So you can do further research and say, well, you know, that study that I'm going to draw equivalent to the Ban Bossy campaign. They used a real study, but they were cherry-picking the data they needed. So if you go to the Ban Bossy website, if it's still up, go to that website, look at the sources they used for information, and then read these reports, really what these reports says. Because they just picked a few numbers that looked good to them and then built a case on that. They didn't look at the full report. If they did, they would have quickly thrown the report out because it is completely unusable for them. Now, if you don't have that time, look at I think it's the American Enterprise Institute. There's a lady calling herself the Factual Feminist here on YouTube. She can point you in the exact direct location where it is. And then you can obviously dig through that data and see, am I right? Is the Factual Feminist right? You can dig through these things, and that's how you conduct proper and thorough research. That's how you get facts on your side. Just as I said, feminism today is even worse. It's not an ideology anymore, it's a profitable market business. And it survives on telling women they are weak. They can't get by in life. They need to have dedicated chairs reserved for them so that they don't have to work for them. They can become a CEO because there is a seat open for them that no one else can claim because, well, there's something dangling between their legs. So they're not allowed to sit in that chair. So your only qualification there, feminism tells women that you're so weak you need all these helps. You're so weak that you can't be allowed to hear the word bossy. And just let that sink in. If you are so weak that you can't stand being called bossy, I'm sorry to say this, but you are not in any way suitable for leadership at all. And leadership is very serious. These are extremely critical positions we have all over society. As a manager, even a line manager with only 2 people beneath you, you are responsible for managing and maintaining and seeing that their career moves forward, that they get proper training, that if there is an issue going on in their life, that they are not coming late to work, which may lead to disciplinary actions, that may lead to them getting fired, which means that they will have a harder time in life because they can't pay rent. These are responsibilities squarely on the shoulders of people with leadership. You have to be very responsible and you have to be extremely resilient. That's why it's not cut out for everyone to be a leader. So I'm going to round this off by now. But I must ask you a question. And I would like to know the answer because I'm genuinely curious about it. How often have you encountered in feminist discussion someone on the feminist side that has been properly prepared, properly ready to back up their claims, show you the real numbers and say, look, I'm not comparing women being beaten in a non-war active country with soldiers that is supposedly dying or getting hurt, but since we don't have soldiers, so therefore the number is 0. But yeah, you know, look, we have it worse. How often do you encounter these people? And I'm inviting everyone. If you're a feminist, and I don't care if you're the frothing kind that is about to go and write a really big post on Tumblr about me, how often do you encounter rebuttals of feminism, but you stumble upon the same as I have done here, where you are doing your best to present actual facts that are backed up, that isn't skewed or angled or falsified or just cherry-picked like the Bad Bossy advert. If you're one of them, I would love to hear your comment as well, and I'm saying this to everyone that's going to write in the comments below. I will leave all comments open, so if you decide that you're going to write something stupid, you will be open to ridicule from everyone if you're writing something stupid. But if you have a point to bring, then bring it. There is no censorship down here, and if you resort to illegal things like threats and rape threats and whatnot, I, and hopefully YouTube, have no issues putting that forward to the proper authorities where they belong. Threats are not okay, guys. As I've been saying during this entire video, violence may be necessary at times, but there is never an excuse for it, and there is never a time when it is okay. I thank you so much for listening through to this video and hearing me ramble on about this, but this is my first video here. I created this channel just to be able to vent and air my thoughts around things. I'm happy to be corrected, and do understand that I care about what is fact. I care about what is the truth. There are wishy-washy, go-lucky, good, happy dreams that are good to have. We want, all of us want a society that you can get really, really drunk and walking down the dark alleyway all alone in the middle of the night, screeching at the top of your lungs, singing some drunken song, waving money around whilst wearing a bikini, and you still would not get attacked. That is a very good society to get to, where you have so much freedom and don't have to worry. But we are not there. We have predators, we have sociopaths, we have dangerous people that have no qualms whatsoever upon attacking you, upon making you suffer. They are not that many, but they are more than enough of them for you to stop being stupid about the choices you do. Stop listening to people saying that you were not responsible for being cornered, all alone, put in a very, very disadvantaged situation, beat guns, beat someone being stronger than you. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you put yourself in that situation, own up to that, and maybe, just maybe, we will see a lot less violence and rape happening in the society today. The crime was not your fault, but the danger you put yourself in was. Thanks to all of you watching this. It's much appreciated. I hope to have a video up really, really soon. And if you have suggestions, please bring them. Dump them in the comment sections below. Link to your own videos where you do your video replies of this. I know YouTube isn't working as it used to with your ability to link videos directly and do video replies like that, but if you dump the link in your comment below, I will try and watch your videos. I'll try and read all the comments for suggestions about topics to bring up in the future. I'm open to discussing everything from religions to science to politics to ideologies like feminism, and it has been today. Take care guys, whoever you are, and stay safe until next time.